Creating an item in Stack is an easy way to incorporate unique material, labor, equipment, or subcontracting costs into a project. But before we can create an item, we need to think about where it's going to live, and I'm referring to that folder structure. So as you can see, I've created a lot of custom items over the years, and it's really been that folder structure that's really helped me manage this list. I know exactly where I can find the item that I need. So first tip, think about your folder structure. For example, I'm going to start building some SoundBat installation items. So underneath my installation, I have a folder for rated, and I'm going to go ahead and add a new subfolder for sound. So click on the three dots, create a new folder, type in sound, and there it is. So with that folder created, I'm ready to go ahead and build some custom items. I'm going to click on the three dots next to sound, create an item here. When you create an item, remember that the information we provide is what we're going to be seeing on our reports and on our estimates. And in fact, there's a few fields that ultimately define how we approach measuring the project. First is going to be the item name, and the item name can be generic or specific depending on what we want listed on our reports and estimates. For example, if all I wanted to see is how many square feet of SoundBat, I might just call it SoundBat installation. However, if I had a few different size rolls of SoundBat, I might expand on that to also include the size of the roll. For example, 10 by 100. Next is going to be the item description, where I can list anything like the specifications, installation instructions, who my main supplier is, whatever you would like. The description field is completely optional. So for now, I'm just going to leave it blank. Next is our unit of measure. This is one of those fields I was mentioning earlier. What I'm essentially stating is what takeoff variable or data from the takeoff I will be converting. For our example, I'll be using square feet, since I'll most likely be measuring installation with flat area or even surface area. Next is a purchase unit. And again, this is another important field as this defines the unit of measure I intend to purchase the installation in. Here, I'm going to list rolls. Up next is the coverage rate. And the coverage rate is our first example of a formula in Stack. And what it's asking is how many takeoff units equals our purchase unit. For our example, we're using a 10 by 100, so that means it's 1,000 square feet in a roll. So I'm going to type in 1,000 on the left field, and I'm going to keep 1 listed in the right field. This coverage rate is embedded into the item. So as I draw my takeoffs, for every 1,000 square feet of takeoff I draw, I'll get 1 roll automatically calculated. Our cost type is stating what type of item this is. Now, by default, we have 4 options that we give you: equipment, labor, material, and subcontract. But as you can see, we can create some custom cost types as well. Custom cost types help me organize my reports and estimates even further. So for example, I want to group all of my installation items together, so I'm going to choose installation. Our unit cost is the default price of the item, and every time I use this item, we're going to start with the default price. Now I'll have an opportunity to override that price for the project when I get over to the estimates tab. So don't worry about it too much. And for now, we're just going to go ahead and list it as $500. So every time I use this item, I'm starting at 500. Last but not least is our accounting code. This is mainly used for third-party systems that may rely on the data that we calculate in Stack. For example, your accounting team may have special codes for each item that they can keep track of the cost for the project. Well, we can go ahead and add that unique code here. So when we export the data from our reports, they can easily pair up the work with their system. So for our example, we're going to type in 07-SAB for SoundBat -10 by 100. Now, if this was the only item I was creating, I can just go ahead and hit add, and it would be added straight to that sound folder. But I'm actually interested in building a couple of sizes. So instead, I'm going to say create and add another. Now, it looks like nothing has really happened. But if I expand the sound folder, what you'll see is that item has now been created. And actually, this is the next item that we're looking to build. What it does is we keep everything pre-filled for you for the next item. So all you have to do is just quickly update any of the relevant fields. So for example, I'm going to be going with a 200-foot roll. So I'm going to change that from 100 to 200. And it looks like our coverage rate is also going to change from 1,000 to 2,000. Price is going to increase from 500 to 750. And our accounting code needs to end in 200 as well. And if that's all I needed, I can say add, and there's my list. So that's the basics of creating a custom item. If you have any questions, feel free to start a chat in that lower right corner of your screen.